Alright, so welcome back. We left off reviewing Scarred for Life, which was the debut full-length album by Obsession. So it's now time to get into the second full-length and also was the last full-length album for Obsession for quite a while, until like the 2000s. We'll get into more why. So, this second full-length album was released on October 25th of 1987, and it was titled Methods of Madness. So, with that said, this was released in 1987, and there was definitely not too much of a change. If there was a change, it was in look. The band decides to look like a glam band. Yes, going with no longer the leather studs and, you know, denim and leather and all that look. Instead, they were trying to look like a glam band, and which could definitely raise some eyebrows to some. Some will think that it, you know, will cause an alarm. They're thinking, oh shit, are they really going to sound like Motley Crue? Are they going to sound like Poison? Do not fear, because it still is 100% the same Obsession that released Martial Law and Scarred for Life. Albeit a little more smoother and a little more more melodic, but still very heavy in approach, because there still are some raging speed metal tunes on here, which of course the album starts up with Foreplay, which is a kind of a slow methodical track before it breaks into the kind of a proto-thrashy like song called Heart to the Core. This song right here pretty much kind of does it for me in a way. It's just a way to start off the album. It's heavy, biting, visceral, and Mike Viscera just shows off his pipes as well, kind of showing that he isn't slowing down. Alongside Bruce Vitale and Mark Make, these guys are just shredding on the, you know, the guitar. It's a shredding speed thrasher. And of course, the following up by High Treason, which is very much a Maiden sounding song right here. At times it also reminds me a bit of Virtue, the new wave of British heavy metal band. This is a very much a new wave of British heavy metal sounding track. Everything about it is good, and plus it's named after a Virtue song, so, yeah, and yet Virtue were a very obscure band by this time, so, but yet there's similarities. And of course there's other good ones on here, like Killer Elite. Fuck. Always on the Run, Panic in the Streets, which is the last song on the album. There's just some great songs on here. But we do need to talk about three, which of course we'll first start with For the Love of Money, which is for kind of the band's MTV sort of hit. But the song starts off like it could be a ballad, but it then turns into a straight up hard rocker of a track. Right here, it's very much got that Judas Priest sounding to it. Something that you might see off like Screaming for Vengeance, or like Defenders of the Faith, or even like even British Steel, or Killing Machine, aka Hellbent for Leather. It's just got that sound to it, that very anthemic riff to it. Even at times, even a bit of an anvil sound to it. It's very much close to that, and it's a great track as well. And of course, Mike Viscera, who's pretty much he controls the mic. He owns it. But of course, there's Desperate to Survive, which is the band's attempt at a ballad, but again, it's more like The Lady Wore Black or Beyond the Realms of Death. It's kind of close to that, and definitely it's a good song. I do like it. Of course, we have to talk about the title track. Now, I don't know which one I heard first. The song Methods of Madness, or Shadows of Steel off the second Metal Massacre. I don't know which one I heard first. but I heard them around the same time. Methods of Madness was the first time I heard it was featured on the Leatherface soundtrack to the third Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was featured on that soundtrack, which was released through Medusa Records. And of course that soundtrack turned me on to Law's Rocket and Wrath and such other bands. But Obsession with Methods of Madness, this song blew me away. This is a kick-ass song. And of course, if you're a horror movie fan, this is definitely a recognizable song because this was also featured in the third Sleepaway Camp movie as well. Even alongside Desperate to Survive and Killer Elite were also featured in the Sleepaway Camp movies. Desperate to Survive being used in the end credits of the second Sleepaway Camp movie. So this album was definitely kind of a popular album for Obsession, and this is one of the reasons for why. Methods of Madness is just a killer song anyways. This along with Hearts of the Core are like some of the album's most real heavy, real fast, visceral songs on this one that almost even at times even border on thrash, but Methods of Madness is more of a power metal song, very close to like Metal Church or Law's Rocket or just some of these other bands. It's got that sound. So really, not really a bad song on this album, though there is a weak song, and that is Too Wild to Tame. This is an attempt, the only attempt for the band wants to sound like a bit of a hair metal band. It's not a bad track though, it's still very enjoyable, still rockin', but it's just seems kind of out of place in this album. That's the only thing I can say, I mean, which that's even still nitpicking. This is still a solid album from Obsession, and definitely one of my favorites from this band. This and Martial Law. If I was able to take out Too Wild to Tame and replace it with the 3 or 4 tracks from the Martial Law EP, this album would just be solid from start to finish. There really is not a bad song on this album. Only just a minor little hiccup, but even it's minor. It doesn't really hurt the album. This is a solid album. I really like this one from them. So, this would end up being the last album for Obsession. Now, look on Metal Archives just before doing this video, I noticed that their bass player, I forgot his name. Yeah. He's not featured on this. There is no bass player being featured in Metal Archives, or maybe somebody accidentally deleted his name, or somebody else played the bass on this one. I really don't know. So I guess maybe that kind of indicated another thing for why this band would end up breaking up. But another thing is, after this band split up, and why it was so long for them, you know, to get back together, was because Mike Viscera would end up replacing Loudness singer, and will record a few albums with Loudness, which are a Japanese heavy metal band. So, definitely it would take some time before the 2000s, where Mike Viscera would put together a new lineup and would go on to release about 2 albums to pretty much follow up to Methods of Madness. So, with that said, this definitely ends this little short, Obsession discography review. So, until then, this is Heavy Thrasher saying I am out, and I'll see you for the next few videos for US Power Metal Month. Later.